Leafs looked better Monday night against Detroit, but suffered the same result. We'll see if they can get back into the win column tonight against Nashville. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morsuti. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. What's happening, Dave? How you feeling, pal?
It's not a good weekend for us, man.
No, the Blue Jays lost 2 games. The Maple Leafs lost 2 games. I do got a belly full of turkey, though. We got a nice little belly full of turkey, which was always fun. I had a great time with my family yesterday. We do our Thanksgiving dinners on Monday, but yeah, it was very disappointing to sit there with the family, watch the Leafs lose to Detroit, although much better showing than they had on Saturday. Much better showing. We'll get into it. And then to watch them also get pumped there by Seattle, and now the Jays down 0-2. It is tough. It is tough to live off of. But you can listen to Locked On Jays podcast, our sister show, for all things Blue Jays. But how about them Leafs, Dave? They didn't get the win, so still looking for W's, but a much better performance by Toronto overall yesterday compared to their Saturday matchup against Detroit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, they definitely did. They looked more engaged. They controlled play for a good portion of it. But we've also seen far too many times the Leafs getting up in the shot totals, but struggle to get it by the goalie.
Yeah.
And the thing is I felt like the third period was the best period. I think, yes, they were out shooting them throughout the game.
40 to 15 were the shots on goal. 40 to 15.
Yeah.
So. Right?
But it felt like to me the third period is where they kind of turned the other gear that they need. They played with the urgency because they were down, right? They were down 2-0. And I kind of wanted to see that urgency a little bit earlier. They had a lot of good chances and things like that, but it just felt like the quality of the chances got better later in the game.
Oh, for sure they did. I thought so as well. And, obviously that's where you end up seeing the Maple Leafs score, right? Like they had all those opportunities, their chances, lots of shots. But then finally in the third period is when they broke through, right? You get Matthew Nyes, sitting at the side of the net doing his thing, being a pest in the paint. He gets a nice feed from McMahon. He redirects it into the back of the net. And then, good forecheck established. Matthews forces a giveaway in the offensive zone. And then a couple moments later, the puck ends up on the stick of Nyes over to Calle Jarnkrok, your boy Calle, though the Maple Leafs leading goal scorer early in the year. 3 games, 3 goals, on pace for 82. But a really nice feed there by Matthew Nyes. And, it looked like, okay, the Leafs, they're back in this thing, right? It was tied, and then you give up a late goal there in the third period. Backbreaker, an absolute backbreaker for a game that the Leafs should have won, right? Like the win-o-meter should have win-o-meter. The Leafs far in favor of that. The expected goals, the Maple Leafs far in favor of that. I believe the expected goal differential from this game for Toronto, 69% at 5-on-5. The Maple Leafs, should have won that game. But it's why you play the games, Dave. It's why you play the games. And, I'm sure that the Leafs wish they could get that play back, but they can't. But at least when you look at, post game, when you're thinking, okay, are we at least seeing some positive signs moving forward? Because the loss on Saturday was just ugly. It was terrible. They got outclassed, outplayed. At least you have some things to build on and some things you liked from this game, including Easton Cowan, who made his debut in this afternoon foray on the top line alongside Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes. I thought he looked pretty good. What about you? Think he sticks?
I thought he looked like he belonged, right? We talked so much about trying to find the right fit on the top line. That's the best the top line has looked.
Yeah.
Right? It says something about the young player that can inject some, energy, excitement into the lineup. And I thought that's what he brought. Now, there were some nervous moments handling the puck here and there, but I thought for the most part, it showed that, and Craig Berube kind of talked about this. Like, if you're looking at internally the players that have the upside to play in the top six, he did say Easton Cowan was one of those players.
Right.
He showed his coach he can handle that type of responsibility.
Yeah, so Easton Cowan ended the night with 14 minutes, 5 seconds of ice time. He registered 1 shot on goal, had 3 hits. So he wasn't on the ice for either the 2 goals, I guess, that were scored.
Yeah.
Nyes and Matthews were on the ice. No Easton Cowan, though. So it was Yarncroc and Bobby McMahon who were on the ice for those goals. But he was creating, right? And you listen to what Matthew Nyes said, what the coach said, to what Austin Matthews all said post-game, and that's what it was. It looked like he belonged, right? It looks like he was out there creating. He was making plays. He was playing simple, which, again, is, a big buzzword for Craig Berube. Just play simple. And that's what he did, right? And he wasn't afraid, to make plays. And, hopefully moving forward, he gets more opportunity here to continue in the top 6. Because, like you said, that was the best that line looked. And you got to get that line going. Got to get Austin Matthews going, Matthew Nyes, although he's been pretty solid so far. Got to get those guys scoring. And when you look at that line as a whole at 5-on-5, Nyes, Matthews, and Cowan played 10 minutes and 7 seconds. The shot share was 16-5 in terms of, Corsi, 76% Corsi. They outshot the Red Wings 10-0 when on the ice at 5-on-5. 10-0. They didn't surrender a single shot against and spent basically the entire time in the offensive zone. An 80% expected goal differential. 12-2 were the scoring chances out there on the ice for that line. So, yeah, I mean, I fully expect for that line of Matthews, Nyes, and Cowan to stick again tonight against Nashville. Because truthfully, they're the best line, on the Maple Leafs yesterday. And Easton Cowan definitely didn't look out of place. It seemed like he was willing to make more plays and maybe weirdly looked a little bit more comfortable up on the top line than like Michelli did over the first couple of games. So maybe, man, he gets his shot and looks like he's going to run with it.
And that's what you want to see, right? You want to see one of your younger players grab the opportunity. And it speaks to just how much I kind of hate to be this person, but it's like, why did it take so long for him to get into the lineup? Like,
well, I mean, there's 2 games. I agree. Like, he should have been there from day one.
Yes, that's kind of my point. Like, yeah, for 2 games, not a huge deal, but 2 games where I felt like you give him those opportunities because he's deserved it. He's proven so far in the games that he's played that he's looked like he's belonged.
Yeah.
Right. And when you got a team that's struggling to put up offense at 5-on-5, and he's looked good at 5-on-5, I'd rather have him in the lineup than some of the other players that have struggled offensively to start the year.
Yeah, which is fair, which is totally fair. And he finally gets in the lineup, and well, they put up a 40 spot in terms of shots, and he was on the ice making things happen, and was one of the better Maple Leafs, I guess you could say, on the night, despite just a short 14-ish minutes of ice time. All right, let's come back. Let's get to the good, the bad, the ugly, kind of put a bow on the loss, and then we look forward to tonight. Maple Leafs back in action, night 2 of a back-to-back. First back-to-back of the season. They got the Nashville Predators in town. So we'll preview that next in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. The NHL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love FanDuel. Allows me to bet in so many different ways, whether it's a same game parlay, whether I'm betting on just, money line, props, whatever you want to bet on. You can do it all on FanDuel. Take a look at the Leaf game tonight. Toronto favored heavily on the money line, minus 178 for the Maple Leafs to beat the Preds. Put down $5 as your first bet. They win, you get $300 in bonus bets. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DeStefano, Dave Morsuti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the Locked On Leafs podcast, diving into everything Maple Leafs. You can find the show wherever you get a podcast and subscribe. You can also find it on YouTube as well. So Dave, we'll put a bow on the Detroit game last night with the good, the bad, the ugly, and then we'll start to look ahead to tonight's game against Nashville. So what'd you like about the game? And the it was a loss, right? But there was still plenty to like in that game against Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously better effort and another goal for Calle Jarnkrok.
The boy Cali, though, that's all he does is score now. On pace for 82. My guy.
And one where he just nice shot, get in the scoring. The thing is he's not doing anything out of the ordinary. It's simple, right? Get to the scoring area, shoot the puck.
Yeah.
Or tap it in if there's a rebound.
That's right, Greg.
It's
a simple game sometimes. It's a simple game, as Berube would say.
It would not surprise me. I mean, right now he's playing fourth line. Would not surprise me at some point if he gets bumped up.
I think there's a possibility at times this year if we need, Craig Berube needs to switch some things up. Wouldn't shock me to see him get a look on the top line. He's done it before. Like Jarnkrok has played with Matthews before, like when there was injuries to Marner and they were just flipping things around. He's played there before. He had 20 goals his first season in Toronto. So it's not like the guy can't score. Last year was just injury riddled and he just never really got going. So he only had one goal. He's got 3 already in 3 games. So yeah, Calle Jarnkrok has been great. We already spoke about the debut of Easton Cowan, how well I thought he played in the top line. The fact that that they were just so dominant against them. But overall, a much better night defensively as well, right? We talked about them needing to do a much better job of killing plays and getting the puck out of the zone and being much quicker doing so. I thought they did a pretty good job of that. They limited Detroit to just 15 shots on goal. They had only 11 scoring chances compared to, was it like 39 scoring chances the night the game before against the Red Wings. So good turnaround defensively for the group. So I did want to give a little nod to that. They certainly cleaned some things up there, played with a bit more structure, which is what you need to see. Not what you want to see, but what you need to see from this Maple Leafs team. All right, the bad, Dave. What was bad?
The bad for me, I'll probably go with William Nylander.
Yeah, it's been kind of disappointing so far.
Just he looks too passive. He looks like passive Willie right now, and it's unacceptable. Like, it's not ugly for me just yet because he at least is still making some plays and things like that. But we definitely expect more from him. Just 3 shots in 3 games. Definitely need more out of him.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely need to get a little bit more out of William Nylander. Hopefully they can get it going tonight against Nashville. But for me, the third pair just have not really liked what's going on with the third pair. Simon Benoit, you've talked about maybe he needs a night off in the press box. Possibly that comes tonight on the second half of a back-to-back. Get a right shot in there. Get OEL back onto his natural left side, perhaps. But Simon Benoit is on the ice for a couple of goals there against Detroit again. So he kind of gonna give him my bad for Saturday or for Monday in the afternoon loss there What's your ugly, Dave?
Ugly is the defensive breakdowns,
Mm,
especially on the second and third goal.
yes.
In no way, shape, or form should you be losing a foot race to James Van Riemsdyk.
No, not at
He
all.
he still's got the hands. He can still score with the best in terms of in tight. That's definitely something he's still capable of doing. But he is in no way should have been out in that 2-on-1 situation, getting ahead of a Morgan Riley or Brandon Carl. And that was a play there where Brandon Carl, I don't know what he was doing exactly.
I don't know.
But that 2-on-1 really pissed me off. And the third goal, bit of a lucky bounce, but again, not accounting for the open guy in a scoring area, Mason Appleton, and it ends up being in net. Like these games here, the Leafs are shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Far too often defensively. And you can go and you can outshoot your opponent 40-15 and say we deserve to win these games. But when you're having defensive breakdowns and you're getting outscored because of it, it doesn't matter how many shots, especially if you're not going to outscore your mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. And that's kind of like how Berube, and that's kind of how the Maple Leafs won a lot of games last year.
Yeah.
Like the underlying numbers weren't sexy, right? The expected goals, they weren't dominating. It wasn't necessarily a possession-based game in the same way that it was under Dubas and Sheldon Keefe. They are we'll play simple, we'll play our game, and we won't make mistakes. But when the opposition does, we got to capitalize. And, that was the Maple Leafs way of winning a lot of games last year, and that's how you keep it low scoring, a lot of 3-1, 3-2 hockey games. And the Leafs are just on the wrong side of it, right? You played better most of the game, but the few mistakes you made, Detroit made you pay. And they scored 3 goals on 15 shots, and they won the game 3-2, despite being nearly outshot 3-1. 3x their shots. But for me also, like, to go on that, but like just a back-breaking goal late in the game where, again, you've been the better team, but a defensive breakdown late, you let Appleton get a shot off, and 45 seconds to go in the game, you give up the game winner. And now all of a sudden it's all right, got to get the big boys out there, 6-on-5. Hopefully we can bring this to OT and salvage a point, maybe win in overtime. But that's a tough one to give up. Really, really tough one to give up. All right, so that'll be that. We move on. Another game tonight, night 2 of a back-to-back. There'll be some lineup changes. We believe definitely in net. Caden Primo will make his first start. Let's talk about that next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast. For the Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day.
Today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put up organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting, link all your accounts in minutes. You can see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And that's the big one there. If you don't want anything complicated, that's where Monarch can really help you. You can identify, where you're not saving as much on, if you have inefficient investments, or if you're not seeing ways, if you're spending too much on one thing, it will tell you right in there right now. So maximize your investments, increase your savings rate, and also keep your financial goals with your partner together in a healthy way. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDON NHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDON NHL.
The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DeStefano, Dave Morisuti with you. The Maple Leafs back in action tonight. First back-to-back of the year, Dave. They got the Nashville Predators in town tonight who also are coming off a back-to-back. They were in Ottawa last night. They won 4-1 against the Senators. And I don't know if you saw the latest news out in Ottawa, but Brady Tkachuk injured in that game, out at least 4 weeks, apparently. That's going to be a tough blow for the Ottawa Senators. I'm sure the boys at Locked On Sens will be reacting to that. Might go and, take a peek at what they're saying. But yeah, the Preds coming to town, and they've gotten off to a pretty good start compared to last year, which was an abysmal year for the Predators after being the winners of the offseason. Off to a 2-0-1 start, looked pretty good in their 4-1 win over Ottawa as well. It'll be a pretty tough test here for the Maple Leafs on the second night of the back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, like we always thought that Nashville was underachieving so bad last season. Just got off to such a tough start. UC Saros was not right. Well, UC Saros is looking a little more like UC Saros. And if you're the Leafs that had a hard time beating Cam Talbot, I don't expect it to be UC Saros tonight, obviously, because
it's gonna be Justice and Noonan will be in that tonight.
Oh, this guy's getting a shutout.
What do you mean, Dave?
Hey, got every time we see a goalie that the Leafs should be able to beat. I'm looking at you, Mr. Soderblom, over in Chicago.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the no-name goalie, Mr. Lucas Dostal. Remember that? Remember the no-name goalie?
Just to me, this Leafs team has struggled. They've had some like up and down games against Nashville. I think they did beat them last year in Toronto. I believe that was a game. No, I wasn't at that game. I was at the Anaheim game. But like usually Toronto's good against them at home. But yeah, just because it's going to be Justice Noonan in net does not mean that the Leafs are going to have an easy time of it.
No, they split the 2-game series against Nashville last year. They won 3-2 in Toronto, and then they lost 5-2 in Nashville. That game was in March. So in the last couple of years, it's been kind of going back and forth here, splitting series. So it's always a good matchup. It's always usually a pretty tight one as well. Low scoring. The under is like 7-3 over the last 10 games between these two. So if you're looking for a wager on tonight's game, maybe the under could be the play, although it is a second night back-to-back, so typically, these games could get a little sloppier. Craig Berube did announce that there will be no lineup changes to the forward and defensive pairings, but did announce that it is going to be the first start for Caden Primo tonight. So Caden Primo gets to make his Maple Leafs debut, and he'll start in net for Toronto. But let's take a look at Nashville's lineup here, Dave, because it's a pretty good lineup, I would say. Like, it's a deep forward group. The blue line, obviously, I think is not necessarily as special as it's been in the past few years. But this is a decent forward grouping that they got over in Nashville. So Phil Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, Joachim Kemmel on the top line, Steven Stamkos, Svechkov, and Evangelista on the second line. Bunting, our boy Mike Bunting, back in town, a little local hero here, along with Eric Holla and Jonathan Marchessault on the third line. Smith, McCarron, and Tyson Jost on the fourth line. And defensively, you got Adam Wilsby, Roman Josi, Brady Shea, Nick Perbix, and Stastny and no, it's not Morgan Barron, it's the brother. Justin Barron. Justin Barron as your third pair. And then Justice Noonan will make the start here for Nashville. He's a career .895 save percentage and like a 3-something goals against. So, yeah, it's, they should be able to beat the goalie. This should be an opportunity for the Maple Leafs. Again, Nashville's just as tired as – actually, Nashville should be more tired. They played last night, whereas the Maple Leafs –
no, I think it was an afternoon game for them, too.
Was it a 2 p.m. game for them? Or
I think it might have been a bit earlier.
1 o'clock, actually. They were a 1 o'clock game now I mention it, yeah.
But they did have to travel.
Yeah, yeah.
Tough travel from Toronto, Ottawa,
Yeah, tough travel.
Maybe they'll have to walk to the rink tonight. I'm pretty sure Nashville had to last time.
Well, I mean, either way. But yeah, like this is a team that is it's very they're talented up front. And last year was definitely an underachievement, as you mentioned. They've got some talent for sure. But the player to watch in this one for Nashville as a guy who has been the thorn in the side of the Maple Leafs over the last few years. Maybe a future Maple Leaf. Maybe could be a future Maple Leaf. But Phil Forsberg, this guy's been a tough guy for the Maple Leafs. 17 games against the Leafs. He's got 10 goals, 18 points. So Phil Forsberg is our locked-on player to watch from the Nashville Predators tonight. Gonna have to keep an eye on him, and definitely can't have those defensive breakdowns with this guy because he can really shoot the puck.
Yeah, I know he's he's the horse that leads the charge in a lot of ways. Tied for the team lead in scoring, him and Marchessault. Marchessault 2 goals in 3 games too. But yeah, Forsberg is just such a dynamic player. He can just kind of do it all on the ice, and they rely a lot on him. I think between him and Ryan O'Reilly, they play the most among all forwards. So you're not getting away from this guy. He's going to play a lot, and he's just sneaky, just sneaky good times. Like he just, when you are least expecting it, he can find ways to get through the defense and score. I've always been a big Phil Forsberg fan ever since he was. I thought the Leafs were gonna draft Phil Forsberg.
Way back when.
Way back in 2012, right? That was the year they drafted Morgan Riley, and I'm like, here comes Phil Forsberg. They're gonna take Phil Forsberg, and they took Morgan Riley, and I said, okay, well, Phil Forsberg's gonna go soon, and no, he went 11th to Washington, and then Washington's just like, you know what, we need
Martin Erat.
We need Martin Erat. We're going to give you guys Phil Forsberg.
Oh, boy. What a trade.
That's one thing I always remember about Phil Forsberg, just how close he could have been to being a Leaf. Maybe he'll be a Leaf in the future.
Possibly. Although if the Preds, keep up pace of how they're playing right now, probably not going to be looking to dump some talent off at the deadline. They might be looking to load up. So who knows? What'll be going on? But should be a fun game. Our locked on player, the game for Toronto though. Dave, you're looking at William Nylander, and you want to see more from him, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just hasn't been good enough from Nylander this year, and I didn't get it. He's not, hasn't put up great numbers against Nashville, just 2 goals in 6 games. I'm just looking for more.
That's my bad. So that's supposed to say Nylander. That's my bad.
Oh,
for those watching.
Well, we want to see Matthews and Nylander score a little bit more. True. But for Willie, it all comes down to effort. I'm just not seeing the effort from him through these games. Like, he needs to have more than 3 shots on goal, especially on the power play. Like, I'm seeing him get that puck and he waits and he doesn't shoot it. He had 2 shots against Detroit, which is considered an improvement, but it's not enough. And I get it. Nylander, a few years ago, he had over 300 shots. He's usually in the 250 range, but his current pace isn't at that rate. And that's just not going to be good enough if he wants to get back to being a 40 goal scorer. And that's the thing. Like, they need him to score these goals because that's what we're talking about. How do you replace the production loss with Mitch Marner gone? William Nylander is supposed to be one of those guys capable of getting the 85 plus points, right? You think back to the year that he had the 98 points, he had over 300 shots on goal. He has to be more assertive. And I know Craig Berube said he's going to have a chat to see what's going on with Willie. John Tavares doesn't seem to be too concerned, although that line has just been outplayed. It's not even that they're not shooting. It's that they're not even generating the chances. Something is missing on that second line. And they put Matthias Michelli there. Maybe he can help just, he help dish it to Nylander. So
be a facilitator.
Nylander's a dominant player. He's the one that's capable of skating and getting into the tough scoring areas. And that's something that Craig Berube said he needs to see more of. Needs to see Willie going in, getting in down low. Is just not it's not happening right now for him.
Yeah. Just need to see him take charge. But both him and Tavares, like, they just got to get going. That line has to get going. It's a big reason why the team's 1-2 to start. Right? They're just not getting the production from the top six. They've got goals. What do they got? They got 3 goals from Yarncroc, right? They got a goal from Morgan Riley. Like they're getting some production from their depth. It's the big boys who haven't come up with any production. I mean, the goals that Nylander and Matthews do have were both empty netters. So got to start getting some offense from the big boys here to get the Leafs back into the win column. So we'll see if they can get it done against Nashville here tonight. But yeah, Nylander last 6 games against the Predators, just 2 points and just 13 shots in the last 6 games against Nashville. So he hasn't necessarily played well against the Preds throughout his career, but hopefully he can turn that around here tonight. A little bit of piece of news, I suppose. Is there anything else Leaf related that we missed out on?
No, I think that's. Steven Lorentz was skating. He would have been. He could have played tonight, but Barrio wants to give him an extra game, so it looks like Steven Lorentz close to coming back.
Yeah, but won't play tonight. So no Steven Lorentz tonight. As we mentioned, the forward and defensive lineup the exact same as it was yesterday against Detroit. Caden Primo starts in net. The only lineup change, I suppose, from yesterday to today. Elsewhere around the NHL, we talked about Brady Tkachuk being injured. Looks like he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a hand injury. That'll be a tough blow to Ottawa. And on the same day that happens, the Senators fans have to look across the border there, the provincial border, and see that the Montreal Canadiens got Lane Hutson extended to a pretty sweetheart deal, considering what the hell's been going on in the NHL. What did you make of that contract for Lane Hutson?
Yeah, it's a great deal for a player that won the Calder. With the Dobson trade and signing, I thought he was going to come in closer to the Dobson number. Yeah, I mean, Montreal, it's just kind of what every team's doing right now. You get a chance to get, yes, I get it.
Hang on. In my opinion, when I saw the Dobson contract, right, I think that would have been totally moot once you saw what Luke Hughes and once you saw what Jackson Lacombe signed for. No, like Dobson, you could have thought, yeah, probably come in a little underneath, but then once those contracts get signed, it's like, well, my number starts at minimum with a 9. If not, you're thinking 10, 11 at that point. Yeah. Like Lane Hutson's a far better player than Luke Hughes and Jackson Lacombe. You'd think that he's going to make a lot more money than those guys, and he would have the leverage. Signed for $8.85. He came in at under $9 million. Yeah, at an 8-year term. Like that is a sweetheart deal as it comes. We're going to be looking at that contract as we look at maybe the Cale Makar deal right now, where it's like Cale Makar's making the same amount of money this year as Jackson Lacombe, or at least next year when that extension goes in, as Jackson Lacombe, right? As Luke Hughes. It's like he's making less money than Darnell Nurse. Like it is such a sweetheart deal for Lane Hutson. Habs fans have to be totally stoked with this. Have to be.
Yeah,
and for Lane Hutson.
And it's no surprise that both Jeff Gordon and Ken Hughes are also signed to new deals. They signed 5-year extensions themselves. Like Montreal has done a good job prioritizing its young talent. It needs to all come together, and a lot. There's still a few things that they definitely need to do in Montreal, but when you've got it, just like it's following the blueprint of what Anaheim is doing. Like obviously we don't watch a lot of Anaheim, but I also think that if you're going to choose to give the contract that Lacombe got, if you're going to choose between him or Hutson, you're going to take Lane Hutson for sure in that situation. So yeah, it's a good deal for Montreal. I think, listening to Connor McDavid's agent speaking about how his clients haven't necessarily gone for the max 8 years for the term. I don't know why more agents aren't pushing on their players to bet on themselves. Like it's a sweetheart deal for the team. It's obviously a good pay raise for the player, but it's also like the cap's going to continue to go up. And maybe it just shows that some of these players just want that security of the 8-year deal, which I totally get. But it's like, bet on your abilities to earn yourself a really good paycheck.
Yeah.
I get it. That's not the team first mentality. I totally understand that. But with the cap going up, top players should be paid like top players too, if you fully believe in their development path.
Yeah. Ain't that something, though? McDavid leaves money on the table. Lane Hutson seemingly leaves money on the table. Not a lot of guys were leaving money on the table here in Toronto over the years. Not a lot of guys. Although Tavares left some money on the table this year.
Well, after he made his
After he made a lot of money over the course of the last few seasons. Nyes could turn out to be one of those deals as well. If he turns out to be the player we think he can be. On pace for 82 points, I think, this year so far. So we'll see. My 35-35 guy prediction still very, very much alive here with Matthew Nyes. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Maple Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at _Morris Follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the game tonight. Leafs, Preds, puck drop 7 o'clock. We'll be back to recap it all tomorrow. Go Leafs, go. Until then, keep locked right here on Locked On Leafs.